Hello and welcome to another NRL Fantasy Scout YouTube video. Today we will be going to who we believe are the best pods for you to consider for your fantasy team. If you are unfamiliar with what a pod is, it stands for point of difference, essentially someone who has low ownership or that is being overlooked or slept on. For the sake of this video, we are defining a pod as someone that is under 10% owned. We'll be going in order from highest owned to lowest owned. Let's get into it. First up, we have Briton Nikora, who is the highest owned player on this list, but still only has 6.3% ownership. Nikora is a massive pod, and one we're predicting to have a bounce-back year. Nikola's strike rate was the lowest of his career to date, at just 0.4 tries per game. His average was also the lowest it's been since 2022. With the Panthers more settled compared to the start of last season, Nikora should see his numbers increase. How much they increase will determine whether he's worthwhile or not, but at this stage, he's an option that we are very much keen on. Next up, we have Jahrome Hughes. Similar story to Toto here, in that he's a fallen gun. Owned by just 6.2% of coaches, it's not very often his ownership is this low. FanHub unfortunately messed with his price, making him 50k more expensive than he should have been. That being said, Hughes is still underpriced from his 6 injury-riddled games. When playing 80 last season, he averaged 52 points, and that was with a slow start as well. Hughes could easily rebound to his Dally M form, and looking like a nice pod if you have the funds. Now we have Penisini, who is 4.8% owned. He is another player whose scoring suffered from a poor year in paradise. From averaging in the low 40s the past 2 years, Penisini dropped to a 33 average and has been priced as such. That being said, he tends to perform better when Moses is in the squad, and when Moses and Parra found their mojo at the back end of last year, Penisini averaged 38 points. This will give him roughly 5 points of value in a tricky center position. Hopefully Parra can continue their end-of-year attacking form into 2026. Next up is Papali'i. We talked about him in our mid-video already, but our thoughts on him have slightly changed. Even if he starts, it seems extremely unlikely that he'll play 80 minutes, with Liam Martin likely to play 80, and Sorensen and Garner both able to play on the edge. In our opinion, he would have to play at least half of his minutes in the middle to become a decent option. His PPM from last season was quite inflated due to playing mostly in the middle, so after adjusting the sample size of our data, our new projections have him at 46 expected points, as opposed to the 52 we initially had. Unless we get more clarity on his role, he's probably an avoid for now. Now we have Cody Walker. Walker had a pretty terrible 2025, struggling to stay on the field due to injury, much like most of the South team. He is another year older, but the Rabbitohs are looking like a much better team in 2026, so there is some potential value there. Playing on a stacked left edge with Fafita and Latrell, there is lots of attacking potential. Priced at a measly 27, just 2 years ago he averaged 38.6. At 3.9% ownership, he shapes as an interesting option in the halves, though gambling on his fitness does seem like quite a big risk. The next option on our list is the 3.6% owned Briton Nikora. Nikora saw a slight decrease in his 2025 fantasy output, dropping from a 50 average to a 43. Excluding his injury game, however, Nikora averaged 46. If he can see a slight uptick in his run meters and tackles, and a slight decrease in his demerits, he can return to his 50 average and could be a nice undervalued pick. We would have him ranked higher than a 7 out of 10, but with all the value options to edge, we feel as if it's pretty hard to fit him in. Sam Walker is an interesting one, and a potential hidden gem at just 3.4% ownership. Taking out his HIA and sibling games from last year, he averaged 54.2. That's close to a potential 10 points of value. This did include, however, lots of conversions, with one game even being 10 conversions, which obviously isn't sustainable. The big question here is how much does DC impact upon him? We know Walker will wear the 7 jersey, but how much will DC kick? Will it be more than Savala? We just don't know. We are pretty high on the Roosters this year, so he should get heaps of attacking opportunities. We would love to take a gamble on him, but we reckon the safe play here is to wait and see for now. Tamale is one we're seeing being talked about quite a bit recently, and he presents as a potential option in a tricky wing fullback position this year. He was a great cash cow last year before unfortunately getting injured. As a result of this injury, we are already getting a slight 2-point discount. But there is opportunity for him to improve even more. We often don't see the best of wingers until the second proper season in first grade. The rumoured move of Ethan Strange to the right side could also act as a benefit to Tamale, with Sanders more of a passing half as opposed to Strange's run-first attitude. Tamale is strongly in our considerations at this stage. Another player who saw a slight decrease in his average, Olakau'atu, comes in price at 48. Again though, he's had a few games affected by injuries and HIA. If we remove those games, he scored 50 points per game when playing in the second row. There may be some questions if Fogarty will use him as much as Jerry Evans did, but as a player of his caliber, that shouldn't be an issue. There's not too much of a difficult path for Olakau'atu to regain his gun status and be 100k undervalued. However, as we mentioned with Nikora, given all the value available at edge this year, it's hard to justify spending the money on him. CNK finished the year with a 38-point average, however there were 3 games at centre and another 3 affected by HIAs. Excluding those games, his real average is 44 points, showing some immediate value. His scores did also differ, however, when Metcalf was in and also out of the team. With Metcalf in the squad, CNK averaged 47 points. Without him, it was just 40. Unfortunately, Metcalf was not expected back until round 7 to 10. CNK could have nearly 10 points of value once Metcalf is back, but how much value he has currently, it's up in the air. That brings an end to our players. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If there's any pods you're considering, let us know down in the comment section below. Please like the video and subscribe to our channel, it would be greatly appreciated. We'll see you all next time.